Cedar Point is building a brand new coaster, which means this stage behind me, unfortunately, is leaving. So, where are they going to put a new stage? What are they going to do with entertainment? And what are some ideas that they may be having? Well, today, I'm going to talk about all the different possibilities that I think they may be able to do for entertainment in 2025. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're excited. Let's go. So I'm giving some ideas, you know, maybe the Cedar Point team wants some ideas. Maybe they'll listen to me a little bit, or maybe it's just for fun for all of us. So we're gonna check it out today. First on our list is right here by the Boardwalk, or the Boardwalk for normal season. All of this space right here, this could be a fantastic stage with a ton of extra space in it, including all the way over here. Even if somehow you did some sort of a special event and gave some food options inside the lakeside pavilion, you could do like a buffet there, something like that, and have a great show here with a ton of space, vantage points all the way out to there and all the way over to the entrance over here, to be able to watch what's happening. Obviously, they did something like this with the Wheel of Death this last year during Boardwalk nights. And I think that's really going to be what the inspiration of entertainment is like for across the board this next year. But one issue with this area, right now we don't have an issue with it, but these trees really cut off your view. However, I think with some minor modifications and with some taking out of landscaping and putting in a large stage, it could actually be a pretty cool place. Plus, there's also a backstage area that you could go to for your cast members for that show. So I do think this could be a really cool option, maybe for some sort of a cool 50s style theme, something that's gonna be very atomic agey and very fun, but definitely a smaller stage, but still something very fun. It could also be a good option for some of those high in the sky acts, like what we see on the main stage right now, because this could be a larger stage that they could actually put in. Also, this area would include a little bit more shade, which I do like, even some balconies over here that would be shaded during parts of the days that could be nice for watching a show with. Also, this area already feels incredibly vibrant, but it would make it feel even more vibrant than it feels right now. Now, if you look on the concept art for the Boardwalk, which is this area where we are right now, when they actually made the initial concept art for it, this was a large performing and stage area. I love that, and I'd love to see it be a large performing and stage area. Also, for Boardwalk nights, once again, they did have some performances that were happening. They had if you can see this big circle here, a large pool that was incredibly tall, and also had something even taller where someone jumped off of that as a high diving act. So they had a lot of things that were happening in this area. Obviously, you can get a crowd around it, but it's going to be a smaller space. It'd be great if they could build like some sort of a mini amphitheater or something like that around here. I would not expect that, especially not by next year. I'm not saying it couldn't be something they'd do in the future, but for right now, definitely I would imagine not for this next year. But you'd also have all of these options up here, the balcony to watch from. There could be some really cool levels to that kind of an entertainment space. And it also harkens back to Cedar Point Days of Lore, because they used to have a large area here that was a huge amphitheater where you could watch shows. One other really cool part about that I think could really happen, that would be really cool, is you could actually have, especially in the fall, a large barge that would be out on the water, and you could shoot fireworks behind the stage from that large barge, making it both a destination from inside the park and a destination from the boardwalk right outside the park, which I think could be really, really cool. It could become a large destination. Now, the problem is, how many people can you really fit in this area, especially when it comes to this next year? Now, if they did something in the future, I think it could be really, really cool. I think it could be something that would really make this, like I said, a destination area for Cedar Point. Again, just not expecting it to be something that would happen this next year, but definitely a cool option for the future. Once again, also some good backstage areas too that could be utilized eventually for this area. Also, if they wanted to do that, I mean, heck, you could even leave these windows open with a view of the stage so that you could watch the show from inside this this building here, the pavilion, which I think, again, would be really cool. There's a lot of cool potential and options and possibilities. This entire walkway here even could be just deleted and utilized in such a way where you could enter in from both sides into a cool amphitheater in the area. Obviously, I'm not the one making these decisions. There's just a lot of cool options and possibilities for this area if that's something that Cedar Point ever wanted to do. Wouldn't expect it this next year, but it could be a cool option eventually. Now, even at that, I don't doubt it that they will use that area, but it would be for something smaller, a stunt act, just like they did this last year, rather than something bigger. And I do think that's a huge part of this next year. I think Cedar Point realized that they had great success with Boardwalk Nights, and because of that, we're gonna see a lot of emulation of that this next year. The sun is casting the perfect shadow over my eyes. Now, speaking of emulation, this area is going to also almost definitely be another stage that they are going to use next year. I doubt this will even come down at all throughout the winter. This stage has been a massive success for both times that they have done something. For this year during the Boardwalk Nights, and also for Skeleton Crew during Halloweenkends. This was seemingly a very last minute entry into Halloweenkends this year, but they added yet again another stunt act to this area. I think this stage will be something that we will see replicated over and over and over again. It is kind of the perfect spot with the giant wheel right in the background and with a fairly large area here where anyone can walk around. So I do think that's pretty cool. There are some good options for the Skeleton Crew, or just for any stage, to be able to have some fun and do some cool things here in front of the giant wheel. It also acts as kind of a centerpiece for this area of the park, for the boardwalk. So I definitely would not say that that is a problem at all. It's going to be a little bit different this next year one way or another, but there are a lot of good options. Once again, speaking of Boardwalk Nights, this entire midway was full of floats that they used this last year, and I could see them doing the same thing either here with some of the larger areas or across the park in other spots where the pathway kind of opens up a little bit. So I would expect to see something similar to that. Once again, I'm not sure if it'll be exactly the boardwalk or if it'll be other places where they'll be doing a similar type of thing, just maybe across the park, having some floats that, you know, sail out at 7 o'clock and then you have a ton of extra entertainment. Who knows? There are a lot of different options that could happen. I know this area right here was a very popular one, but for one of the singing trios of girls, and also one of the strength acts that they had this last year, which again, I'd love to see more of that. However, Cedar Point, if you're doing strength acts, you got to show off the muscles. I mean, the girls are showing off their bodies for the strength acts. They did like different gymnastic type acts, which were pretty cool. And you can see how smooth and muscular, lightly muscular the girls were for those. But the guys had their shirts on. What's happening? If you're doing muscular acts, show off the muscles, Cedar Point. Now that does lead me to, though, this last entry here inside of the boardwalk, which I think is also this Gatekeeper area. I think they really could make something really cool here. The problem is, if there is a long line for Gatekeeper, I could see it becoming a problem. So I do think the end of this little walkway here would be cool. It would be a cool option, and I do think it's a possibility, but I think there are other better options here at Cedar Point for this next year. Plus, I seriously doubt that they would want to cover up the Gatekeeper sign. One of those better options would only work if Cedar Point does not try to emulate or redo the floats that they did this last year. So the floats came out of this gate. And I do think that gate is very important often for Cedar Point, but if you had some sort of a movable stage that could be an option, I think it could be really cool to have in this area right here. Maybe even with a little bit of demolition of this building, creating a large stage right in that area could be perfect. Could get it out of the way of this walkway / driveway, and could also get everything close enough to backstage stuff that the performers could get backstage very quickly without actually having to grace the main walkways at all on their way in. I do think that could be really cool. I think this building has not been used for several years now, so why not get rid of it and create something larger and permanent that could be used as a large stage. It is even out of the way enough that you could actually do fireworks back behind it, and you also have some shady areas right here that could be utilized for the stage itself. You could even create and reorient this in such a way where the shady area actually looks toward the stage and would give you kind of an orientation to look toward whatever was happening over here. I do think it could be really, really cool. I think it's one way or another, it's gonna be utilizing different spaces for a large stage area, but this would give a lot of space into this opening area over here where people could continue to watch. People could watch from the Gatekeeper queue if you were just kind of a passive observer. People could watch all the way from the back here too, as long as this was all opened up in such a way where it could be used for that. So I do think it could be really cool. You could even have people continuing to watch all the way from over here. You'd be a little bit down low, but as long as the stage was up a little bit higher, it really could provide a great opportunity for people, maybe with a little bit of a walkway enclosure over there so that people can get to the bathrooms one way or another, whether a show is going on or not. But I do think that could be a really, really great opportunity for Cedar Point Live Entertainment to have a large, great focal point for this area of a permanent stage that could be really enjoyed. Once again, though, I doubt that's going to happen this next year. I mean, it could. You never know what Cedar Point's going to actually do. But with the projects that they already are going on, I really doubt that they're going to add a full stage to that. I do expect to see a lot of things like our next entry right here that are going to be popping up all over Cedar Point. One of the more practical things I think you are going to see very frequently here at Cedar Point for entertainment this next year is these, because you're killing two birds with one stone. You're both getting a bar and you're getting live entertainment going with these kinds of bars. I would expect to see smaller venues, smaller bands happening, because obviously there's not that many people who can stick around and watch when you have something this small along just a normal pathway. But it is great for adding a little bit of ambiance to the area and making something very fantastic for people to be able to walk by and to enjoy while they're at Cedar Point. So I would expect to see a lot of that. It's also just incredibly practical. It both gives some money and some entertainment to the park. It's kind of a win-win for Cedar Point. So I think especially this next year, especially with the ease of putting up those crates, we're gonna see a lot of that. If you wanna know a bit more of what I think Cedar Point is going to do, go check out my Boardwalk Nights videos on this channel. I will have a couple of them linked up above too for you to go check out, or down in the comments. That way you guys can really see what it looks like they may end up doing this next year, because it was very much a success and really filled the park with both vibrancy and with a ton of people just walking around and doing things, collecting buttons. There were just all kinds of opportunities. I think it's something Cedar Point's definitely going to want to recreate for this next year. Comment down below though, what would your dreams be for Cedar Point Entertainment as far as the large scale stage areas go? Let me know what you guys think down below. I'd love to hear from you. We love Malice and Mischief.
Look at what you're wearing. Trick or treat. The neighbors, yeah, they're staring.
You can see what they're starting to build for Siren's Curse here at Cedar Point. Definitely exciting to see it starting to actually go up. And that's the reason why they announced this early, is because they start working on it immediately during the weeks when Halloween weekends is going on. It is slated though for midsummer, not for the very beginning of the year. So expect that when you're making your plans for Cedar Point this coming year. I don't expect there to be delays. This is kind of a stock model, although I think it will look very nice inside of Cedar Point. Go! I think this is actually going to be where it falls from. I think this is going to be the main spike, the main tall point. Like this. Now, Cedar Point is going to be getting rid of this stage. It is my favorite stage here at Cedar Point. It is the largest area for their biggest productions to happen, and that's okay. It's already an impermanent stage. It's not something that was made to last for forever, and a lot of times theme parks, part of the fun of theme parks is the way that they change. The way that new coasters are added across the park, and the way that things change where they are. New entertainment is offered, and the park becomes fresh again every year, or, you know, kind of in cycles, every 5 or 10 years or whatever, because things have changed. So because of that, I'm not mad about this change. I am a little sad about it, but I'm not mad about it. The only real issue that I am most concerned about is this rig, because for the last several years they have had tons of acrobatic acts that have done stuff on this rig, and that is the same thing for this year also. They have a fantastic aerial act from a guy, and then they also have a fantastic aerial hair act from a girl that is incredible. Both sides of those are incredible. So I hope that things like that are able to come back, but you have to have enough space to find it. Now, in all fairness, I do not know specifically from the horse's mouth that this stage is leaving. It could still be here. I don't think it is though, and a lot of that is because of this. This is such a busy pathway. It's going to be even worse tonight. It gets completely congested. And whenever they have a show, which is coming again here soon, in 5 minutes, the stage becomes incredibly congested all around it. So it's really hard to walk through. This is, I've been saying for the last several years even kind of a bit of a safety hazard here at Cedar Point. If there were ever an emergency, you would just have this blockage of people trying to get out of the park all at one spot. So being able to have it be a bit more dispersed across the park is probably one of the best things that Cedar Point can do. But like I said though, I don't really know that they're getting rid of this stage. It just is seeming, from all accounts, like that's exactly what they're doing. Including that the stage wasn't included in the renderings that they made of Siren's Curse also. That being said though, I do still think that they have an opportunity to do something fun entertainment-wise here also, just on a much, much smaller scale. Right around here, underneath Siren's Curse, I would love to see some sort of a really cool siren themed show. Something that has to do with like evil mermaids, especially around Halloween weekends, I think would be so much fun to watch and a really, really cool thing to be a part of here at Cedar Point. So I do think that'd be something that they could do. And it could just be a smaller little spot there, or even right over here where that extra tent is, where they could do some really, really cool things. I would love to see something like that. What does this influencer think he's doing here at Cedar Point?
What does this guy think he's doing here at Cedar Point always? I figured I'd run into you today. I just knew it.
I kind of knew I'd run into you too. Now, I did just talk to one of the higher-ups, and what she said intrigued me. She said, I think we're going to have fantastic entertainment next year, but I think we're going to have entertainment come to people rather than people come to the entertainment. So that makes me think it's going to be a lot of floats. But we'll see what actually happens. I'm very intrigued, and I do think things will change a lot between now and then. Obviously, you'll have these normal parts of the Red Garter Saloon, or the inside of Lusty Lil's, where there still could be entertainment that's happening. Those I would not believe were going to be changed at all, and would be things that I would look forward to again next year, one way or another. Honestly, my expectation for Cedar Point is that there will be a lot of entertainment next year, because if they're getting rid of the biggest stage here at Cedar Point and getting rid of the amount of people that they had working on that, I really hope they're not looking at that as an opportunity to budget cut and make more money. That's the opportunity where they could really tick me off the most. This is an opportunity to innovate their entertainment slate and not to do less than what they would normally do just because, well, we don't have the stage now for it. No, you can do other stuff. Come up with ways to do it. Or Not Your Normal Guy will be angry. All right, we are right here at Trail Tavern now. We're gonna go see if we can grab something to eat here on our way toward the back of the park. And we'll continue talking about options for entertainment along here on the Frontier Trail also. All right, everybody, you've got one more week. Go see Jen. She is my favorite. She's so cool. But she just looked at me while I'm talking about her. Give her some good tips and have some fun talking with her. She's a great bartender. Speaking of entertainment here at Cedar Point, we've got some entertainment stuff that's happening right now. My favorite to watch, and it's the Witch Sisters. I can hear it going on right now, and I can tell which show it is. It's the spellcasting show. I love it so much. This is by far the best show of the Witch Sisters. The others are pretty just kids fare, but this is always super fun to watch.
it's so bad, you have to call the coppers! Grab it, oh, I knew it! I knew something was gonna get us today! Was it bacon? Was it cheese? No, it was I can hardly feel my face. Or is that the Botox? Little urchins, thank you for your energy. You were like the cheese car on the Wild Mouse. You make me dizzy. So give yourselves a round of applause. They're clapping for me. Barely.
I unironically love the Witch Sisters. They can do no wrong in my eyes. They could murder someone and I would still love them. Now, right back here, I would not recommend a lot of entertainment. The Witch Sisters is actually kind of the perfect situation. And anything in that area where they wanted to have, you know, people making goods, creating things, those are always very, very fun. They also have a glass blowing show that happens over here that I would also, you know, always be loving. But they have all these animals here. And for those animals, you don't want to have a noisy show with lots of lights that's going to cause them to feel uneasy and make it a bad experience for them to be here at Cedar Point. So I like this area. I love it that we have this area, but we don't want to ruin it for the animals that already exist here. Speaking of the glass blowing show, it looks like it might be going on right now because I see a whole bunch of people back there. Of course, you can always go through the glass blowing store. Also, you can find all kinds of cool artisan crafts that were made here at Cedar Point also. It's a cool building, a cool piece of architecture, and a cool show to watch that whole glass blowing show happen. Definitely worthwhile to go see. Plus, you can also buy the things that they actually create. All right, now guys, don't be mad at me for this next one. It is going to be controversial. One of the things that I think could be the most easily done would be to use Freak Show or Fairground Freak Show as a new site for entertainment instead. Now, there are reasons why this is something that will not be incredibly popular by a lot of people. And that is because this is a historic building. However, I do think it's kind of in prime position and in the perfect location to be able to have a large swath of land to be able to hang out and watch a show, including this entire area over here where you have food that's made and where people can actually eat. So you could be eating, you could watch the show. You're actually up a little bit high too, so you could easily watch that. This is out of the way, off to the side. My recommendation would be to eventually relocate this building and build instead a large stage on it. Again, you've got some backstage areas that could easily be accessed from here for the entertainers. You could get rid of these two trees to get in the middle of, or to be in the middle of the stuff that's happening here. You could even put a little bit of some overhead shading in the area so that people could watch it and create a little amphitheater here, focusing right toward here so that people can see what's going on. Plus, there's also this balcony here where people can also eat. They could watch the show. It's just kind of already a natural area, and most of the year it is not used. It's used only in the winter time. So to put something here, maybe even to have a little bit of space behind it where you could put some fireworks and not have to close down Maverick for it, could be a really cool opportunity. Here you have a show that is large enough that you could, here you have a show space that is large enough that you could actually put in some stuff here that could really help you be able to have a great opportunity and show space here. even including possibly even some stadium seating that could go back here. But everything could be out of the way from a main walkway. This is kind of a secondary walkway right here, so you wouldn't even get things that were in the way, and you'd have plenty of space for people to walk around and be able to see the show. My other recommendation would be to get rid of this tiny little stage right here and instead to opt for this large stage, which should be very small changes that would need to be made. You could even put in that huge rig and have plenty of space to put the rig up above. There's just a lot of cool opportunities that could happen. The other possibility would be to use the existing space, but to put a stage inside that entire building and to open up like basically 4 of these walls so that you have plenty of space for people to be able to watch the show that's happening inside it. Either way, I do think it's a very cool and intriguing option for Cedar Point to be able to have a great show that's in this area that doesn't take up massive amounts of space from this part of the park. Now we have come to the weirdest part of Cedar Point, and it is this spot right here. I love this spot because it's out of the way and in a place where things feel very separated from the rest of the park, except for when people are coming in from the railroad or out from the railroad, which is what just happened just now. It's a great area. You have a refresh station where you can grab some food, grab some drinks, or you can also go to Sagebrush Sue's, which is the worst thing I've ever said. Frontier Eats. You can get corn dogs and cheese and things like that there. But other than that, there really isn't anything here except for a little walking area that happens here and this little set piece cannon that goes off every so often. So this area is totally primed for a stage to be in here, for a show to be happening. And I do think a little show could happen right over here, especially something along the lines of a tiny stage that could even be set back and could have a full band to actually exist in there. Like that could definitely be really fun. Like you could put a nice little stage right there even that could be perfect for a band. But not that many people are going to walk by, and to have a smaller show would potentially not gain anyone to watch because no one's going to be walking past you. And especially like Carrie said, if they are looking for having an area where you can have, where they're coming to you, they're not coming to you back in this spot. So this area, even though I want to say it's perfect for a stage, it's perfect for some sort of a large opportunity to happen, I really don't know that it is. And unfortunately, I kind of hate that for it. I want it to be an area where you could have it. It could be cool if you could have a stage kind of off-centered here in the middle. And again, you'd have to get rid of a couple of trees from right here. Because then you really could have this entire midway where people could watch the stage. So if you put in something really big, it could be really cool, but it would have to be huge, and then you'd have to have like maybe a walkway created off to the side for people to then be routed back into the park without interrupting the show entirely, which again, I think might be a possibility. And it is really cool. Like the idea of a show that stretches where people could watch all the way down this midway could be really, really cool. That's an expansive midway where you could really watch the show happening. But I don't know. I mean, you'd really have to make something great happen. I think probably the best option would be right here where you're at the peak of the area, building a large stage right on top of that and creating a spot where it spread all the way across and you could really, like everyone could see you all the way down. You can get rid of a couple of these smaller trees that are here in the middle so that then people could instead see this show. But this is me thinking as creatively as possible. I don't expect this is anything like we're going to get next year. But who knows? Maybe if Carrie sees this video, maybe she'll be like, hey, yeah, that actually could be a cool idea. But I don't know. I mean, this one feels more nebulous than some of them that I've had. The cool possibility here is that you would have all the backstage area over here that your performers could go to, and you would have this area right back here where you could have a backstage area where your performers could hang if the stage was right here at this pinnacle point of Frontier Town. That's probably your best bet overall. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that I'm like, it's working against this area. Let's just be honest. Once again, another great spot to go see a show. Lusty Lils. Love it. And I hope maybe Lusty Lils will come back next year. Because the last several years they've had it emptied. But now that they're getting rid of that stage, which I do have full confirmation from Carrie, by the way. Now I do. Unfortunately, that makes me really sad. But now that they're getting rid of that massive stage, to put something into Lusty Lils is exactly what I would really hope they do for this next year. Maybe instead of doing Lusty Lils, they do something, maybe another murder mystery, or maybe another form of a mystery, maybe Clue-esque. That could be a really fun thing for them to do. Another sexier vibe, something really fun inside of Lusty Lils Palace Theater. Another really great option is this stage here too. Now, this has been used for multiple bands in residence over the years, and I think even this year it's been used for bands in residence, but in the fall they don't do anything in it because bands in residence ends during the main season. It is something that I think is really fun. Of course, I love seeing shows here, and especially when they have places to sit over here and different like rocking chairs and different chairs like this that you can sit in to watch the shows. That's fantastic. It's a great place to be able to hang out and to watch a show. It is not the most logistically sound place to be able to have a show because it is like there's very little backstage area. You do have this backstage area right here for, you know, some equipment and things like that to be, but you really don't have much as far as a backstage area to go. But the cool part about it is you have all of this area where people can watch, including all the way back to the bathroom. I would love to see that, but it would have to also be a much smaller act that goes into that area. One more place to have some entertainment is here in this gazebo. Now, this gazebo is just used literally for nothing, but what a perfect place to have a bit of a show. And a couple of years ago during the pandemic, and just after the pandemic, they had the piano guys here. There were 2 dueling pianos. I think they were called the uprights, and they were so much fun. I'm actually doing a comparison of every single show that I've seen here, and that will be a part of that video that I've done, and that'll be for off-season content. So go check out my off-season content also this year, guys. But I am talking about every single show, and the uprights was one of my favorites. They had so many things that they did that were so much fun, and they existed here inside of this gazebo. So what a great place to do that again, harken back to the old days and do something a little bit different than what Cedar Point has done over the last several years. It's a fantastic place to be able to have some entertainment and very, very fun. Definitely worthwhile to do again this next year. Also, you've got so much space here to be able to watch that show. Like, it's a picturesque area, it's a nice little park, and there's a ton of space right outside here to be able to watch what they're doing in. Clearly, we have this spot also where you can watch shows from. Honestly, last year they did it over here in that spot surrounded by a wooden fence right there. And it was up a little bit high, but you really couldn't see it very well. You can see it much better this year, which is why I expect this kind of thing is going to happen a lot more often over the next several years. This will be the kind of standard thing that you're going to see. Now, I'm a little bit surprised, I guess just because they have Summer Brews right here, they don't have a bar down underneath it, but they could always put a bar underneath it if they wanted to, if they felt like there weren't enough bars in the area. Definitely a normal kind of a thing that you're going to see a lot of here at Cedar Point over the next couple of years, especially after what I've just been told today about entertainment coming to us rather than us going to entertainment. Honestly, the rest of this whole area is just too thin, too skinny to really be able to do any kind of entertainment inside of it. Now, right here, we are getting close to the end of our potential stage tour. And that potential stage tour ends right around here near Corkscrew with 2 different options, maybe 3 different options that we're going to talk about. It's getting hot all of a sudden, guys. Time to unbutton my shirt. My favorite 2 spots for the potential of a stage are right over here and right over here. We'll talk about my most exciting, or the spot that I like the most at the very end. But we're going to start here with a great opportunity for a stage to happen right here on this big area that's made for you to be able to eat on. Right now, Cedar Point has this large area right here, right at the end of the midway. The midway is right down here at the end. And you have this large area right here where you can eat. They could easily take this and reconfigure it in such a way where it's a little bit angled and where you can then watch the show all the way down the end of this midway. Clearly right now we have a lot of food trucks that we can look at that are right over here off to the side. And we could move this hops and drops bar and of course all of these different food trucks that are here also. But all of this space, all the way down here, would be space where you could watch the show. You could see whatever you wanted to. Now, unfortunately, that would also get in the way potentially of the swell tones, or it would just end up being like you watch the swell tones and then 15 minutes later, you have a show on the main stage, back and forth, so forth and so on. So either way, you still could do it, but it would end up creating like one zone where you're doing all of the shows. One problem with this side is that it really does get still in the way of this walkway. So this greater walkway here would still be a large, very congested zone to have your show in. Also, you don't have as much of a backstage area, which is why this is not the spot that I love the most. It is a spot that I really think could be a great spot to have a show, but it may be a better spot to continue to watch a show from, because instead we would put the stage over there. And let's go talk about that. My favorite spot to potentially have some sort of a stage is right here. And really, we can already see what that stage would somewhat be like by seeing this animatronic that's right over here. That's already drawing a crowd. It's the perfect spot to get a ton of people. It's the perfect spot to have a large opening, and it's the perfect spot to be able to have a lot that you could put into one spot and still be able to have a large backstage area that could benefit your cast. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about actually making this pathway smaller. As a matter of fact, the amount of pathway that is right here, especially right over here, is actually a feature and not a bug. We're looking for more pathway, we're looking for more space, we're looking to make something that creates a large, very attractive feature of Cedar Point. What we would instead be looking at would be kind of a sideways angled stage that could come right over here, right in front of those back bathrooms, which again would have a little wall kind of erected around the back of them, so people could still use those bathrooms, but it would be out of the way. But as you're walking down the main walkway, this main midway, you would, as you continued to walk this way, find that there was entertainment happening down here at the end of the midway. You could hear it happening, you could see the fireworks. The fireworks could happen from a backstage area that's right back here, where actually they have offices. If you see those brick buildings right there, those are offices. You don't need to close down anything that's happening here at Cedar Point, or beyond that even, there is also this entire cast area back here where anybody working here at Cedar Point, that's where they have their lunches. So you could close that down for specifically people who are working here at Cedar Point. They could still walk through, but they wouldn't have to be involved during the time that they're going to have fireworks going, and you could create a large stage area. Now, a lot of that large stage area would take over all of this space here, where once upon a time they had the, I think this was where Scrambler was, and then they had, look at all the smoke here, and then they had the Himalayan over here. Is that right? I don't think it was Himalayan, but either way, it was one of those. So all of this space here could be a large area to have a huge amount of stage design opportunity that could happen. All of this green space, all of this area back here could be whatever you wanted it to be. You could fill it in with a little bit more of a just walkway area so that you could watch the stage, especially if it's angled in the right direction. Then you could still see more, but you could see more also down the main midway, and you could still have a huge stage production that's happening. Fireworks could happen behind it, fireworks could happen beside it, and as soon as they are done with their show, they can walk straight out, and this room upstairs, this door specifically, is where our backstage happens for our cast members here at Cedar Point. So this is the perfect area to have it be a little bit more blocked off than it usually is. Of course, any workers can still have their lunches over here because this is specifically our food service area for the cast members here at Cedar Point, or just the workers here at Cedar Point altogether. Anybody who is involved in operations, anything like that, this is where they have their lunches. So as soon as they are done with their show, they can walk off backstage and they can go straight into their backstage green room area where they can get ready, they can lounge around, they can change to go check out and support another show or whatever they want to do. This gives so many opportunities for people to do whatever they want, to be able to have a large area where you can watch the show from, to even expand that area further into here if you want to have a great showpiece over here in this building also, and yet you could also close off the back of it if you wanted to during main season. There's just so many opportunities for being able to watch the show, including even right before you get to this Sky Ride. If you are waiting in line for Sky Ride, you could actually watch the show that's happening here at Cedar Point. I think by far this option has the best opportunities in it for anyone who loves entertainment here at Cedar Point. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think might be the best option for Cedar Point? Where do you think a new stage should go, could go, or will go for this next year? I'd love to hear from you guys down in the comments. Please let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. Thank you guys for hanging out today for this speculative video. I know obviously this is not something that's factual, but it is something that's fun to think about. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and let's go. Imagine just having a full scale stage. Yes, it would take taking out a couple of trees here. Full scale stage though, right back here. Put a little wall right over here that allows people to walk around so they can go to these bathrooms back here. You still have tons of extra space on this side of the skyway. Tons of extra space to be able to fully see the show, or at least see that the fireworks are going from the main midway. And then as soon as you are done, there's a walkway that takes you as a cast member of this show directly out either this way or out to your green room right over here. Nobody has to see you. Nobody has to wait for you to say hi. You can just get straight back to where you need to be in the green room area so that you have plenty of space to go, and you never have to be part of the front of the house if you are in entertainment. This entire walkway here could be gone. Obviously this could end up taking away your estates, but honestly, even then it wouldn't need to. It would just give you a bit more front of the house access at that point for a specific time of the year. There's just so much space here to do anything in. I really think it could give you so much opportunity to really create a fantastic experience. And the way that this walkway is actually angled, it could still give you even more space just because of the way that it is angled out. So with that, we are done talking about the stage here at Cedar Point. Tell me which one you would like to see actually happen. Thank you guys so much for pressing that subscribe button and for liking this video. Liking this video helps way more people to see it. Also share if you're so inclined. I'd love to see you guys also talk down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. Every single time that you talk, I read all of your comments, and I'd love to hear from you guys with your ideas and thoughts about things this Cedar Point could do for this next year. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's go. Hey, thanks for watching. I release theme park related videos at least a couple times a week, so press that subscribe button if you made it this far. Also, check out similar videos in the playlist to the right, or find my newest video to the left. Thanks again, and let's go.